the weight of not being yourself is more painful than what would happen if you took the shell off.
But I know that pain. That's what makes it so difficult, is that I know that pain. That is pain I could tolerate. Like, I don't know the pain of taking off the armor, but I'm trying to get that the same bravery that I had when I left MIT and stepped into management consulting is the same bravery I need now. You're gonna start to make me cry, Andy. I don't want to do that.
Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce Dr. Warren Whyte. Dr. Whyte is not just an executive and scientific researcher, but a true thought leader when it comes to addressing biases and inequality in healthcare. He's empowering life science companies to disrupt traditional modes of care and achieve equitable health outcomes. Throughout this segment, we'll dive deep into his goals, challenges, and aspirations. Together, we'll strategize on how to navigate the corporate landscape, build influential relationships, and make a lasting impact on the healthcare industry. Dr. Whyte's expertise and experience are unparalleled, and I'm honored to have him here on the channel. Warren, thank you for coming.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Good to see you too.
Appreciate you coming on the channel. Wanted to give ourselves a chance to just kind of dive into a little bit of your story, but if you don't mind, just kind of bring us up to speed on how you got to where you are right now, because I know there's been quite a few steps in the journey.
Yes, it's been a very interesting journey. So I would say all my life, I wanted to become a professor until grad school.
Okay.
So I got my PhD at MIT, and I saw a lot of my colleagues go on to become postdoctoral students, assistant professors, associate professors, and that was just a really long and difficult road. And I just realized that that's not my passion. That's not what I want to do long term. And so I pivoted. I took my PhD and went into management consulting because that would give me the opportunity to learn the ropes about running a business without having to pay for a degree, like going and getting my MBA. And it'll give me an opportunity to figure out what I wanted to do. And so fast forward now 11 years since graduating from MIT, and I've been fortunate enough to land a position after consulting, working for an early startup company that focuses on healthcare IT. So it combines data and digital and AI in the healthcare realm. And so I'm fortunate enough to do that. I've been doing that for 3 years now.
You know, you mentioned kind of this idea of knowing what you wanted, right? To be a professor one day, and then that you wanted to be able to learn. What do you know that you want next?
I know I want to be a leader, but being an effective leader is not as simple as saying, oh, I want to be a leader and people will follow you, right? Like, there's more to it than that. And so I feel like I have the intelligence, I have what I think is the pedigree, and yet it's still a little bit elusive to me, just being a leader and helping a team get to where we collectively want to get to, whether that is a certain profit margin, whether that is a certain reputation or recognition, whether that's partnerships, or just making an impact in our communities. And so I feel like I'm at that edge. I'm like just there.
What about being a leader is important to you?
Empowering people, helping people achieve something greater than themselves. I think those are traits that come with being an effective leader. I see leaders all the time, and I feel like, why not me? I feel like if put in that position, I may make mistakes, but I'm not afraid of making mistakes. In fact, I actually learn from those mistakes and help others to not repeat those mistakes. So I feel like I have what it takes to be a leader, and that's what attracts me to it.
It sounds like there's an amalgamation of leaders that have shaped that point of view. Is there a leader that has made the biggest impact on you?
My father. So my dad was chief operating officer at an international bank, and he retired a few years ago. But he's been at that bank for 30 years.
Wow.
And so unlike today's generation where people change jobs like as quickly as the seasons change, my father has built that reputation over the years such that he commands respect and he gives respect. And so seeing him basically run a bank and essentially help it get from where it was when he first joined to where it is now, one of the largest international banks in the world, it's truly inspiring. And seeing him do that, I felt like I couldn't accomplish that in academia. And so I wanted to replicate that. So my dad, I would say, is the biggest inspiration of what a leader looks like.
Yeah. I always think about, incredible to have a mentor like your father. My dad was at the same company for 40 years. So I completely understand, where you're going. And I've probably had 40 business cards, in my 20 years since graduation. But, that's a lot of big shoes to fill sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you think that plays into any part about the pressure you're putting on yourself right now?
Yes, it does. I put a tremendous amount of pressure on myself. And because I talk to my father regularly, because of the position that he holds in my life and the importance of that position in my life, yes, it absolutely plays a role. Yeah. And I guess for me, I want to be like my father so badly that I'm probably trying too hard and not giving myself a chance to be myself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. What would it look like to try not as hard?
I honestly, I don't know. I only, like I said, recently started to gain a greater perspective and appreciation for what it means to be a leader and to not necessarily follow in someone else's footsteps. Opportunities like today, talking to you, is starting to help me change that perspective. So what that would look like, I don't know. And honestly, a part of me is afraid of what that looks like, because I've known one way for so long, and now I'm being asked, maybe you should do a different way. And even though it is more freeing, less pressure, more reflective of me, if I don't have a sense of what me is, I feel like it could be losing myself into a process that I have no clear path on, like how to handle myself.
Yeah. Well, and it was actually something I was thinking about as you were talking, that there feels like there's been a very straight line logic to your story up until this point.
Yeah. If I do this, then this should happen. If I don't do this, then this will not happen. And yes, I mean, that's what I've done in academia. That's how, if you study and you take a test and you get good grades, you get a degree. With this degree, it opens these doors to these opportunities. Yeah. Yes, that's how you get ahead, I think.
What's your favorite deviation from the path you've ever taken? For a day, for a weekend, you took a wrong job, did a bad project? But it was still something like you look back fondly.
Not going into academia after grad school was the biggest life-altering decision that I've made. Because since I was 10, I wanted to go down a certain path. Yeah. And then I listened to my heart and said, this is not for me. Yeah. And even though I'm struggling to figure out how to navigate the corporate world and how to get to a place that I think I was going to say deserve, which is a very interesting word.
It's a great word.
Even though I'm struggling with that, I still am happy I made that decision.
Yeah.
And I will die being proud of making that decision, because that was the hardest decision of my life.
Yeah.
And yet that was the best decision for me.
Do you feel like you're coming to another decision moment?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. This is a decision moment, coming here to talk to you, because this is me being vulnerable for a second. This is me really taking a closer look at my steps/missteps and figuring out what do I want to do differently. If I'm serious about wanting to make the next step, I need to take a hard look at myself, and that means abandoning or shedding the things that have been protecting of me, but yet is preventing me from getting to where I need to be. So yes, I do think this year is sort of like an inflection point in terms of where I'm going and what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I have no clue what that looks like, but I am ready.
Yeah. I think that sometimes we can get clear on what we expect from ourselves in 30 years, but we can't give ourselves what we expect for ourselves in the next 30 days.
Yeah.
And I think that knowing the direction you want to go is a piece of the puzzle that a lot of people don't even have figured out.
Okay. So I'm not alone.
So if we said, you want to go west, you don't know if it's Los Angeles, San Francisco, or Seattle, but from where we are right now, you're going to leave through the Lincoln Tunnel. Sometimes that's just all you have. That's the only pressure you have to put on yourself is the next step. Like way down there is the eventual destination, but we're not taking the BQE, right?
Yeah.
Right? We're probably taking the Lincoln Tunnel from where we are in New York City right now. And sometimes that's all you can be confident about is just that next step. But having the faith to take that next step is going to give you the faith to take the next step.
Yeah.
Because you have everything that you need right now, which, as you've proven a couple times,
Yeah.
that you step into a new situation and you find that
way.
next
Yeah.
that next link in the chain.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
What does it look like to unlock that next link in the chain for you? Coming from an academic background, having been in management consulting, there's a lot of different procedures and processes that probably run through your head to think about that next link in the chain. But right now, which one are you most aware of?
I think it is unlocking myself from the chains that I've kept myself in all these years. I think for me, literally the next step is to unlock me. And so we just talked about it with, my father and the pressure that I put on myself. And what I am trying to do now is find my inner voice and listening hard to that.
Yeah.
If I were to block out all the distractions, all the noise, let's not talk about C-suite and like make it to the next level. Just what does Warren Anthony Whyte want and need to be happy? And just sit with that and forget what everyone else thinks or says. I think that would help. And so what that means is being more authentic, being more empathetic, being a little bit more humble and grateful for just being here, being more present and mindful.
Yeah.
I do believe that I do have everything I need to be, and sometimes I can sabotage that, getting in my own way.
Yeah.
So I think the next step for me is not necessarily like, oh, I'm going to apply for this job, or oh, I'm going to have a certain conversation with my boss, or oh, I'm going to do. It's actually just sitting still for a moment in this moment and trying to listen to what that voice inside of me is telling, because I think that person knows the next step and I've just not been listening.
Yeah. What I just heard you say was there's some armor.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's like a shell that you've been using because it feels like safety.
It is.
Right? But the weight of not being yourself is more painful than what would happen if you took the shell off.
But I know that pain. That's what makes it so difficult, is that I know that pain. That is pain I could tolerate. Like, I don't know the pain of taking off the armor, but I'm trying to get that the same bravery that I had when I left MIT and stepped into management consulting is the same bravery I need now to take off that mask, take off that armor, and just stand in my truth, whatever that truth is, and let the good, the bad, or the ugly come its way. It's okay, because that is the purest form of myself that I could be. So I agree, it's just easier said than done.
100%. but can I just say thank you?
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Well, no, thank you, because we don't know each other. We just met, and I feel like I've known you for a really, really long time because I just got to see you.
You're gonna start to make me cry, Andy. I don't want to do that. That's not what we're here for. But thank you. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of work to unleash this inner power. I think, like my partner says, she says, like, I'm a beautiful human being. And I'm like, nope, I don't believe it because of this, that. And it's like, it's a protective layer. It's all BS. It's just simply BS. Just own the compliment, own the how people see you. And if you are being true to who you are, then if other people are seeing that with you, then that's amazing. If other people are seeing something different, that's on them. It's not on you. So thank you, Andy. I appreciate it.
Well, because what I'm seeing, I think that you used the phrase, I want to see it at the table.
Yeah, I would like that.
Build your own freaking table.
Yeah. Build my own table and then invite people to come sit at my table. That is the type of, like, that's in me though. Like, that is in me. I have that. Like, I oh my God, you're just like, I'm getting fired up now just talking about this. Like, that is exactly how I am. But these protective layers, they tell me, like, no, I gotta go and do this, and this, that linear thinking. But, like, to hell with all of that. What does my inner self say is the way to go? And my inner self would say something along those lines. To hell with that table that they're not inviting me to. I'm cool in my own right. I could build a table over there and I know people will come because I'm awesome. Yes, I like that. I love that type of thinking. That is exactly how I need to be and that's how I want to be. That's how I am.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You think about the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So let's grab 14 days.
Okay.
I know there's a ton going on in your life.
Yeah.
What's the first step towards building your own table?
I've been reading this book recently called Atomic Habits. Mm-hmm. And it talks about how you are your habits. If you want to be a certain way, then there's a way in which you could develop habits that cultivate that person. Yeah. So for example, this woman that the author knew, like, lost 100 pounds. How did she lose 100 pounds? Because she told herself, what would a healthy person do? Mm. Would a healthy person eat this burrito or eat a salad? Would a healthy person take a train to go to work or walk? Mm-hmm. And she just did that, and it turned into a habit, and she ended up losing 100 pounds. For me, over the next 100 days, or the next 14 days, I want to develop healthy habits that cultivate what it means to build my own table. If that means reading books like Atomic Habits, so that it ends up turning into a case where I am essentially building my own table. I don't need other people to tell me what to do or what that looks like or how I can get a seat at their table, then so be it. Yeah. And I think by reading books like Atomic Habits, it helps me see a different version of myself. Sure. It helps me begin to believe that, you know what, I can do this. Yeah. By reading books, by talking to and surrounding myself with people that have been there, that have done that empower me, that don't tear me down, but actually, like you're doing, build me up from within. Over the next 14 days, those are the steps that I am going to be taking.
With the things you said, all of those are good. Okay. But I can't hold you accountable to it. So let's get specific. Okay. Let's get specific about a thing that when I call you in 14 days, we will know whether you did it or you didn't do it.
Towards building my own table. Okay. All right. Wow, you're really locking me in. I thought you were going to let me be free, but apparently you're locking me in, Andy. All right. How about this? Over the next 14 days, I will put together an outline of what my own table looks like.
I like that.
It will give me sort of a North Star that I could aspire to and travel towards. You got to call me though. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, man.